be a longer term hold for me anyway, especially if it's venture capital. I know a lot about this industry, but I don't have the cash to put into it myself. I can use a self-directed IRA to participate this and be able to be invested in this company that I think is gonna, is a unicorn and is really gonna come up big someday. And then last is precious metals. This one is pretty simple, but just to kind of run through the list: gold, silver, palladium, platinum, precious metal composites. They have to be created or manufactured by a certified manufacturer. So good to talk to like a company like Chemiplan before making these purchases through a self-directed IRA to make sure that they qualify. So like I said, there's a lot of different things you can do, but this isn't the limited list. There's a lot of things you can do, and we've seen in our clients do quite a few different things. Now, there are some prohibited investments. Any work of art, has to do sort of with the nature of art, the value of art being somewhat subjective. So, you could brush a paint stroke on a canvas and say, this is worth $5 million. And someone else would say, I wouldn't pay $5 for that. So we can't do works of art. Rugs or antiques kind of fall into the same, are prohibited kind of for the same reason. Metals and gems, again, we kind of talked about that earlier, how there are exceptions to that, but there are a lot of metals or gems where there's issues with how the quality is measured. So it's generally just limited to that list that I mentioned earlier. Stamps or coins, a lot of variability in value, and then any alcoholic beverages. There's also prohibited transactions. So, most things can be achieved. Most deals can be structured that can work, but it's important when you're investing with your IRA, there be no self-dealing or personal use or benefits provided between accounts and account holder. So some common examples of prohibited transactions are that some people have attempted to do in the past are living or staying in a property that their retirement plan owns. So they own a vacation home that's through their IRA, and they want to go stay there for a week. Well, you can't do that. Even if your IRA owns 50% of it, you can't stay there. And then no self-dealing. And I'll kind of talk about that on the other slide, but like you can't lend money or do things that are against the IRA or IRA rules, for example. There's disqualified persons. This graphic kind of further elaborates on the previous slide, but there are disqualified folks who would not be allowed to benefit from the IRA. And again, this is true for all IRAs, not just self-directed IRAs. And one of the first questions you'll be asked by kind of in your run-of-the-mill IRA is if you're related to any person or who owns or manages a publicly traded company. That's because that custodian wants to make sure that there are no issues or you're not breaking any rules. Well, the same thing would happen with an investment through a self-directed IRA. So anyone in blue is disqualified from receiving or providing a benefit to the IRA. And the kind of common pattern is that anyone who has a lineal ascent or descent to you. So no grandparents, no parents, no children, no grandchildren, and you can't, your spouse is also included in that list. Now, people on the lateral side, that's okay. So this can be aunts and uncles, this can be cousins, this can be brothers, and it can be siblings. So there are certainly some partnerships that folks have figured out with family members, but they have been very, very particular. Specifically, it's usually like siblings who are partnering together. And if you have any questions about this kind of comes up a lot. A lot of times when people If you have questions, you can reach out to us. A lot of times when they run into issues, it's not necessarily because they were trying to do something wrong or pull a fast one on the IRS. They just didn't know. So best to answer the questions, ask the questions ahead of time and let Camaplan make sure everything is above board. So how does the process work? How do you get started with a self-directed IRA? It's pretty simple. Camaplan, you can go online, you open up the account in about 15 minutes. Um, it's kind of like your standard financial services application. It's pretty simple. And then you're going to want to fund your account. Most people have an old 401k or another IRA account sitting there, probably from a previous employer. And so that's where most folks are going to be doing how they're going to be funding their account. They're going to be doing a rollover or a transfer into their new Camaplan account. And then they're going to make their investment. That's step two. So you say, all right, I have this deal. I see there's this deal that Hutch is raising for H Squared Capital. I want to participate. So you've opened your account, you funded your account, and now you want to actually make the investment. Again, online process, fill out some forms, you tell us how you want to invest your money. You'll have to provide some documents depending on, if it's gold or if it's a opportunity with H Squared, or if you're buying a piece of property. And then once everything's taken care of, we'll send the money over and your investment begins to perform. So that's the way it goes. It's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of different things that Camaplan has to do in the background, but for you as the client, it's basically 1, 2, 3, and you can get going. Now, the other question is, okay, yeah, I get it, Matt. We can do all these things with self-directed IRAs, but what does Camaplan do? Well, first and foremost, to open up a self-directed IRA, the IRS requires that there's a third party who's there to administer it, and that's what Camaplan does. So we make sure that everything is compliant, all the tax forms are filed appropriately, and everything is held securely. The other thing is that we're a neutral third party, so we don't sell you anything. We don't give any advice or anything like that. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we're just there to facilitate these investments through a self-directed IRA. But what our main value add to you is that we're enabling investors to truly invest in alternative assets and have true diversification in their portfolio so that they can grow their net worth and have more control over how their portfolio is allocated. And finally, that last bullet about being part of your core team of professionals, we think this is absolutely the utmost importance. We're very, very accessible, and we know that you might have a financial planner or a tax attorney who's going to be scratching their head, wanting to know, like, well, what's this whole self-directed IRA thing going to how's that going to work? Well, we don't expect you to know all the answers, so you can connect them with us. We'll be happy to talk to them, talk about how the asset will be held. How will you be able to purchase this apartment building, or how will you participate in H Squared Capital? What exactly will happen? What tax forms will be filed? All of those things, our client team will be able to walk them through it so that they can do their job as your advisor or tax attorney to help you, and they have all the information that they need. And that is it. That's all I got, Hutch. Any questions for me?
Oh man, thank you so much for that amazing presentation. You want to put up the last slide with your contact there? That'd be greatly appreciated.
For sure.
To close out the PowerPoint. Yeah, definitely. If you are interested in learning more about how to really uh, take control of your retirement fund, reach out to Matt so you can talk more. And everyone's situation is going to be unique, and your tax strategy is going to be different. The way things are structured in your long-term investment goals will be different. So it's really important to reach out to the expert and talk through your personal situation. Now, Matt, one of the questions, man, really appreciate you joining us today, man. Um, One question that I get quite often on self-directed IRA, I'm not sure if this is a topic you want to talk to because it's a lot of time it's more specifically for CPAs who deal specifically for different investment or diverse portfolio. But UBIT come up a lot, which is the unrelated business income taxes, right? When investing in levered real estate through a self-directed IRA. Is that a topic you want to talk on briefly?
Yeah, so absolutely. So um, there's unrelated business income tax that can be assessed with certain deals, certain kinds of investments in a self-directed IRA, and effectively, and they have to do with how your IRA may be collecting income um, in a kind of an unqualified way,
Right.
as well as if there's any if it's taking advantage of any kind of financing. And the way that sort of comes up most often is in two different ways. So if you let's say you are invested in a hotel, right? And so the hotel has customers and they're obviously paying money to stay at the hotel. The hotel's earning income. Um, that's not really